I have on my finger something very cool. So, when I bought my Victrix, I immediately bought new parts like the next week, and I realized it's been a few months since I've used all of those parts. And the main thing that I did that was different was I tried an Octo Gate. Because naturally most arcade sticks, especially Japanese ones, will come with a square gate. But because the lever I bought was the combo gravity lever, it came with an Octo Gate, a square gate, and a circle gate right out of the box. You can pick whichever one you want. It's like a pretty easy process to take one off, put the other on, just a couple screws to undo. So, I get to talk about each type of gate, because now I can say I've tried them all. That is Octo. The one behind it is Circle. Oh, oops. The one behind it is Circle. And, of course, the tried and true. I don't feel like pulling the square gate out of my Victrix. Here's just like a regular Son with square gate. Way easier to take off, way easier to put back on. Also, I randomly have an extra. So, we'll just use this for comparison's sake. So, I think we'll start with the one that's like the least popular. The least popular is Circle. This is basically the lever gate for people who want fireballs, like fast fireballs and quarter circle motions and half circle motions that need like full circle motions and don't want to miss them, right? The pros are, it's very good at those things, right? I don't think, thank you so much for the resub, I appreciate that, Elliot. I don't think you'll miss any quarter circle motions with a circle gate, or any half circle motions with a circle gate. This is the Gold Lewis Dickinson of gates. Right, if you're playing Gold Lewis, I understand using this gate. Otherwise, I kind of don't see a purpose, right? Because there's a gate that does almost exactly what this does, but better. And then also just has a little more versatility when it comes to using other things. The biggest con of this gate is sometimes it's very hard to tell when you're an up, forward, up, back. Your diagonals, right? If you're rolling to forward or rolling to back, it's not too bad. But if you're stopping at a halfway point, something like trying to do a DP motion, forward, down, down, forward, or trying to do a 3 or a 1 motion, which is like a down forward 1 in Tekken, or like a down forward 2 for launching people, or like a down back 4 as like your low sweep or whatever. Sometimes you may accidentally get a down 4. Sometimes you may get a back 4. Sometimes you may get a forward 2 trying to do your down forward 2. Until you really get used to how big the lever is and where the actuator sits when it's at exactly the cardinal direction instead of the diagonal. I didn't like this very much. I used it for all of like 5 minutes. I'm not even gonna hold you guys. I used this shit for 5 minutes. I put it in the lever, and I audibly said, yuck. And then I took it out. I'm gonna make the Victrix video, 1 month in review, which I think it was like more like a month and a half. It wasn't actually a month. I had this in. So from then to now, from then to maybe last weekend, I've had the Octo Gate inside of my Victrix Pro. This is probably the most middle ground of the 3 main gates, right? This is the middle ground. You have the notches for all your directions, for all 8 directions, the 4 cardinals and the 4 diagonals. It's circular enough that you can use it for easy quarter circles, easy Z motions, hopefully, and you won't get lost on your up forwards, up backs, down forward, down backs. You usually won't get lost on those things. What will get lost in translation sometimes is when you need to stop at a half circle. I mean, at a diagonal. That same thing that can happen with Circle Gate sometimes happens with Octo, but then you get the versatility of knowing where your forward, down, back, and up are, right? So if you're playing a lot of quarter circle heavy games, this is probably fine. If you're playing a lot of games where you have to hold down back to block, maybe not the best thing in the world, because sometimes you may miss that down back right there and instead get down or back and fuck up your block and die, right? Not the greatest, but I used it for almost what seems like 3 months now. So it's been, I think it may have even been over 3 months. It's been a while. I used this thing for a long time. I didn't have any major issues with it until I started playing Tekken, and I'll get to those issues that were alleviated with the main gate. The main gate, the most common, the most popular, the most known is the square. Specifically the Son with square gate. I think most square gates are about the same size anyway. Ori's is a little bigger, but most of the square gates are around this size. The only thing you get on these is your 4 diagonals. Everything else you have to interpolate yourself. you have to figure out if you're down, you're up, you're back, and you're forward. But all your diagonals are accounted for, and you can make all of the same motions in this gate as you can in this. It just requires that you understand where you are. And once you understand where you are in said gate, square isn't really the most efficient or anything, but it's just, you can use it in the same way that you can use an octagonal gate, except when you're trying to exaggerate your motions more, this gate actually stops you. The circle and the octo give you significantly less room to work with. Square gate this, circle gate that. What about gamer gate? What about gamer gate 2, dude? What's it called? Sweet Baby Inc? Gamergate 2. It started. It's over for all of us gamers. So, the main reason, actually. So, my Fighting Edge has a square gate in it, and it made me want to swap my Victrix back to a square gate. And I will quickly talk about the reason why, because it's a very specific reason. The Octo Gate didn't fail me at all. There was no issue with it. I actually really liked the Octo Gate. I had no problems with it, except for one thing that is pretty much Tekken specific, I think. And it's that it was very hard for me specifically, not everyone, right? It was very hard for me specifically to know when I was in the down forward and down back positions for specifically crouch dashes. If you're playing a character that has a crouch dash that's forward, down, down, forward, or down, down, forward instead of quarter circle forward, and you're trying to access your full crouch moves, you need to make sure you don't accidentally press forward. Because if you do, and instead what you get is a quarter circle forward move, right? Like Do Glide from Lily, like whatever quarter circle name Raven has, I don't know what his is called. While he also has really strong moves from Crouch Dash because he has access to his 2 full crouch moves in his full crouch down forward 3 and down forward 3+4, and his wall standing 2 and wall standing 3-2, right? A launcher, a counter hit, mid that's safe, and then 2 lows, right? One of which is safe, the other one is a hell sweep. So you want access to all these things, and occasionally I would get full quarter circles on this. Even though I thought, I was like, I'm really making sure that I'm not pressing forward. And I would look at the input, I'm like, damn, I'm pressing forward, maybe 3 out of the 10 times, 4 out of the 10 times. And on this, it feels like it's more like 9 out of 10 that I'm getting my crouch dashes and ending in full crouch instead of going to forward on accident. And I think it's just because there's more room for your lever to sit if you have to be in that down back position or down forward position for a longer period of time and need to exaggerate that you're getting it. Same thing with why I think specifically square is really good for Street Fighter and for, 2D fighters. Generally, I only really mention this for like 3D fighting game players. Don't ever use circles, okay? If you want to use circles, that's cool, that's on you, have fun, I'm happy for you. But I generally think that the best thing to use is one of these two. Octo never failed me the entire time I was using it for Street Fighter, and the entire time I was using it for Tekken, up until I started trying to make my crouch dash offense very effective and very consistent. Then I needed the square gate as the pad, as the buffer, to keep me in this corner longer, so that I could get that crouch dash offense without messing it up. That is absolutely a skill issue. So, the real answer between what gate is the best is whatever you're most comfortable playing on, whatever you can execute the best on. But those are some of the things that could turn a skill issue into an issue with your gameplay that requires that you either hone your craft on a lever gate that's making your life harder, or that you are dictated to swapping. I decided to just swap. I've spent most of my life on a square gate anyway, so there was no way I was going to stick with Octo, and this was like my final hurrah, my last straw. The last stand of the Octo Gate, knowing that it was eventually going to lead back to this. It all comes back to the day one. The tried and true square gate. I don't think there's anything wrong explicitly with using Octo Gate. You do have less room. There's like charts. If you guys want to look up those charts on Google, the difference between like square, octo, and circle gate. There's like literally more room for your lever to move around in, and you can do all the same motions as long as you're not trying to specifically ride the gate. So, it's all preference. Just like pad versus leverless, and just like pad versus arcade stick, or arcade stick versus leverless, it's all preference. Pick whichever one is the most comfortable for you, and the one that's going to get you the most success. Me personally, I'm a square gate user. Also a square gate dropper. It's the only one that fell on the floor. The other two are safe. Probably because they're Kanba instead of Sanwa. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this small little talk segment about more arcade stick hardware, mainly just the type of gate that I choose to use and why I choose to use it, and some of the pros and cons of each of the 3 main Japanese style gates, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below what gate you prefer if you're a lever user. If you think that you'd play on lever, what gate you'd want to prefer. Share this with an arcade stick having friend so they can come and comment what lever gate they use. That'd be sick. Anyways, this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTubes, talking about arcade stick gates, signing out and saying